Good morning, Mary Weeber.
Good morning, Sister Jody.
It's a delight to be with you this morning and to learn about your life on the Adrian Dominican campus.
Which is really hard to compress into less than like 3 years.
And we need 3 hours besides
Yes.
to talk about it. You are, by association, a Dominican.
I am.
Yes.
Pat Walter gave me that designation years ago when I was teaching at Siena, and she said to me one day, "Why don't you become an associate?" And I said, I would love to, but I don't have time with everything I'm involved in. I just don't have time. I feel like I couldn't do a good job of it. And she looked at me and she said, "Well, you're the married Dominican."
And
And so
beautiful.
I carried that in my heart
yes.
ever since.
Married, and how many children?
3,
And how many grandchildren?
8, all nuts. And Isabel turned 18 yesterday.
Is she not the star basketball player?
She's the star of our lives. She was a star basketball player to us.
Yes.
She wasn't the star of the team, but she had her moments.
Yes. But didn't they win?
They went into the state quarterfinals, and they lost to the team that won the state finals by 1 point. And so we were very thrilled by that. We were very close to it.
When did you begin your work with the Adrian Dominican Sisters on this side of the campus?
I would be struck by lightning if I didn't tell you how that happened, because Nadine Foley called me one day and she said, "Mary, Donna Markham has just been elected prioress, and I understand you're looking for a job." And I said, "Yes, I am," because I went back to the restaurant to work, and then we sold it, and so I felt like I needed to do something. And so she said, "Well, come in and talk to Donna." So I did.
Sister Donna Markham.
Donna Markham, who I had met when Nadine was prioress. I knew them, and I knew that council. And so I came in, I talked to Donna, and I started working in like August of that year. I talked to her shortly after she took office, but I started in August.
But you knew the Adrian Dominicans before you came to campus. I mean, you had a history with them, did you not?
Yes. I have to go back and finish that story, though.
Please.
Because forever after, every time I was around Nadine and anything came up about me working, she would always say, "Well, remember, you're here because of me." I got you this job. I just
Thank you,
love
Nadine.
that. I love that. Because it gives us all a chance to imitate Nadine, which I know is everyone's favorite thing to do. So yes, I knew the Dominicans. I was thinking about that this morning, and really my first encounter with the Dominicans was at the restaurant, because they were customers. Mary Louise Hall used to come in with her mother, and other sisters used to come in, and we got to know them. And I remembered this night when Art and I were upstairs with a big group of people, like maybe 60, 70 people.
We're talking about the Hathaway House.
Right.
In Blissfield.
Right. And there was all this noise coming from downstairs. And people kept looking around. I mean, we were a big group, and there were all this noise from downstairs was floating up the stairs. And when we went down, it was Nadine and her council in the West Parlor. They were having a great time. I think Donna had her guitar, and they were singing, and they were carrying on. I think they may have been entertaining sponsorship people who had come in.
That would have been Sister Linda
Bevilacqua,
Bevilacqua, Sharon Weber,
Attracta Kelly,
and
Donna Markham, two of whom I encountered later,
Yes,
of course.
Yes. But then you taught at Siena Heights.
I did.
Yes, and still you.
I still teach one class. I can't quit teaching.
Yeah,
I love
it's
it.
in your bones.
It is, and it is. I love
And Pat
it.
Hogan was very dear to you, was she
Oh,
not?
she was. We just had the anniversary of her birth and her death on March 13th. She died on her birthday.
Oh.
And I think it was 26 years. Mark Schurston and I both, Mark was young philosophy professor that she hired, and he was very fond of her too. And Mark and I we were teaching together, but we didn't really know each other. And we got to know each other because of Pat's death. And so we walk out to the cemetery every year on March 13th, or as close to that date as we can get. And we used to, we have a ritual. We stand at her grave and we tell her everything that's going on in our lives, everything that's going on here. We don't tell any secrets, but we do. Who's the new prioress, what's happening, what I've been doing. Mark talks about Sienna and what's going on there. And then we used to always smoke a cigarette because there are two reasons. The first was that when I found out she had died, it was Mark and Donna Custich who told me. I walked into the office and they said, "We have to talk to you." They had just gotten the word. And so they told me and I was just dumbfounded. But I had a student in my office, so I said, "This is when you could smoke in buildings." And I really didn't smoke, but the news was pretty jarring. So I said, "I've got a student in my office. I have to go down and tell her, I can't, continue working with her. I'm going to get a cigarette from Merrill Lee," who was our secretary at the time. And Mark said, "Bring one for me." And Donna Custich said, "Bring one for me," and opened a drawer and said, "And I have an ashtray." Which we all came out of the closet. None of us were regular smokers, but it was like the shock of it, the shock of it. And so Mark,
that's part of your ritual.
we would stand at her grave and have a cigarette and say, "If you don't like it, Pat, come back and stop us. We want you to come back and make us not smoke. You're the reason we're doing this." But we gave that up. We'd always have to bum cigarettes from someone.
What have you learned about us since you've come to this side of the campus?
Oh, wow. A lot more. A lot more. So
of our history, perhaps.
yes, yes, a lot more about the history and a lot deeper understanding of the mission. I understand the mission in terms of Siena Heights. And, it's not that didn't embody all of the mission, but we probably didn't really think of it as extending beyond what we did. So when I came here, I learned not only, I guess I didn't learn about the mission in words, I learned about it in actions. I started talking to all these sisters and discovering the things they had done, and I was just blown away by it. I mean, I tell people all the time that, I would go down for lunch and sit at one of the round tables, and there'd be this nice, sweet, sister next to me, and I'd start talking to her, and I'd find out the things she had done in her life, starting schools and
Hospitals.
being university presidents and hospitals and working with the poor in so many countries and starting programs for women. And it was like, I would just be absolutely blown away by, and the humility behind it was really amazing too. Recently, someone said to me, a man who I encountered for a business reason, talked about me working here and how wonderful it was and how great it was, that he had hoped someday maybe, that it would be great to go into the world and take Christ out to people. And I thought, but that's not what the Dominicans ever did. They took themselves out. They did it through their actions. They didn't do it by preaching to people that they should be saved.
Oh, wow, what a beautiful insight.
I think that was actually Nadine's.
Thank you, Sister
lecture
Nadine.
she gave years ago. But but I saw that it was true, that they didn't, it was by their actions. And that was great.
What do you love most about your position as, give me your title.
I am the assistant to the prioress.
Yes.
Um,
Now, this is the third prioress you
And
have
the
worked
third
for?
prioress that I've worked for. First, I started with Donna Markham, and I loved working for Donna. She was an interesting woman to work for. She would do things like, the thing about Donna that was wonderful is that she just trusted me. And I knew I'd better not mess up. And one day she walked out of her office and she said, Mary, I want you to bring 4 young sisters from Iraq over to this country, do the immigration work. I didn't even really know what immigration work meant. And so I went to Dusty and she gave me a file, and I just kind of learned. I learned things.
That was in 2005.
Right, and it was amazing. I loved it, and she would do things, and let's raise some money. So she raised like over $3 million, and we did that through our office, and it was overwhelming.
That was for the Iraqi sisters.
Wow, it was, and so that was amazing. And then I worked for Sister Attracta Kelly. And that was wonderful because being an immigration lawyer, we continued on with immigration, but we did the deferred action for childhood arrivals, which President Obama, kind of did an executive order. And so Attracta said, we're going to do this. We're going to help these kids stay here, or at least be able to not be deported for a couple of years. And so we started that, and it was wonderful. It was just, we're still doing that, and I just love it. And then with Pat Seaman now, it's another whole thing. We're not heavy into anything yet, but I can see what's coming down the road or kind of suspect, and it's just as exciting. And every one I've been able, to carry on a lot of the things that I did for them or learned from them. And so that's been amazing. It has been a great, great job. Not a job. No. Because it's like every day I think, whoa, what am I going to learn today? What's going to happen today? So it's been great.
Well, thank you for your many years of, 3, how many?
I think I'm going on, I'm in the end of my 12th year.
12th year. And that you hold that Dominican spirit in your heart.
I do.
Yes,
I love it.
And to any new employee, what would you say?
Well, yesterday we had a potential employee, someone I know was walking around, and I said to her, you'll want to work here because where else are you going to work that for maybe the first year or two, every day at least one sister will say to you, we are so blessed to have you here. And I said, and then, it drops off to maybe just 2 or 3 a week.
But it's
where
there.
else will you get that?
Thank you so much, Mary. I really
You're
appreciate
welcome,
that.
Jody.
And for the gifts you have given us. God bless you.
Thank you.